Hey guys and girls, this is Twist with YYC Designs Custom RC Creations, and this is London calling a 1/16 8x8 metal RC off-road wrecker build. And I got the idea from the project by watching the Tatra trials on YouTube here, and I really enjoy watching those Tatra trials. I don't spend a lot of time watching them, but I mean, I spend enough. Yeah. And I love the 8x8s. I love the big trucks. They're not all Tatras. I mean, some are MAN trucks. Others are, oh God, I can't even remember all the different makes they have. Anyway, this one I was watching was from, I believe it was either Romania or Czechoslovakia, or it was both, because there was two different locations. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point being is I love the 8x8 trucks. Yeah, it's really cool and interesting to me, and they always seem to end up wrecking them out. Yeah, so anyway, I decided, why not build a 1/16 scale 8x8 off-road wrecker? Because real life scenario, I used to drive logging truck when I was much younger, and you get on the side of a mountain or something and you turn around and bang, truck rolls or whatever. What do you do with it? Well, you got to call a wrecker. You can't be like the Tatras and the truck trials and flip each other over back onto the wheels. It's a big operation. But there are trucks that are off-road all the time, every day, all around the world. And I was watching another YouTube video, and I saw this Mercedes Actros wrecker truck, and I don't know, it was just really cool. And so I took a bunch of screenshots of it during the video, and I kind of made my own design out of what I saw. So I combined like three different things. I combined the 8x8 from the Tatra, I combined the wrecker from the truck I had seen on YouTube, and then I combined stuff out of here. So that is how I came up with it. There's no real year to it. It's modern though. The Mercedes Actros, I don't know how long the truck has been around. I didn't do the research on that part, but it is a modern truck. It's not like my usual thing where I'm going back to, 30s, 40s, 50s kinds of thing. So this one is going to be a modern truck for y'all. Some of you guys and gals, you like watching the old iron. Well, this is something a little different for those of y'all who like the modern iron. So let's move on with the build, shall we? And I will join you out in the shop. So as you can see, this is London Calling's cab. Well, I guess you can't really see because it's laying on its side. But there is some situations here that make this a rather tricky bit of a build. Now, a big part of the reason is because this is her roof, by the way. Or sorry, this is her back wall, by the way, the rear cab panel. As you notice, it is curved. Okay, I'm going to move around the front here. And as you notice, the roof line is also curved. So therefore, I can't make it a one-piece cab like I did with Miss Moose. I actually have to make it in sections. So a lot more welding and a lot trickier to make. Ergo the magnets. This will be the side panel that will go on to her. So we've got to line it up kind of so, and weld it on to match the curve of the roof. So that's why the welding magnets here, once I get there we go. Now that we're all lined up, I can start to weld. And as you notice, I'm going to start in the center of the panel and weld to the outsides, because I've got to curve this panel as I go. this will be the storage compartment, and that is where I'm actually planning on running a lot of my electronics, which would ergo be under the seats in the cab. Hide the electronics and the battery. This will be a back window that is in the single cab. So I haven't decided if I'm going to leave it as just a day cab or whether London is going to get a sleeper or not as well. So I have marked out the window just in case I leave it as a day cab. If not, then of course I will expand it and it will be a sleeper crawl through. But I'm really thinking this one's going to be a day cab just because of the style of wrecker it is, which I'm not going to blab yet. I'm leaving this a surprise as to what type of wrecker she is, other than telling you she's an off-road wrecker. So yeah, that's where we're at. Let me get her welded up and we will continue on. Okay, so we got one side welded up. Oops, let me turn the radio down here. Apologies about that, folks. Had my radio turned up a little too loud for you. So there is a side view of the cab. Now it's a little toasty yet, so let me get something to point with here. Now here is where obviously the side storage compartment will go in, the door, and of course the windshield pillar. Now like I said, as you notice, the roof is curved. It's not, I'm going to give you a straight down view here. Okay, that roof curve is the same along the side here. Well, not the same, but similar. It is curved. So it does make it a little trickier to build this cab. Now I know you could say, oh, why don't you just weld it square and then bang it out? You're a bodyman after all. Well, that is not the proper way to do it. The proper way to do it is to put in the curve of the panels the way it should be, and then form your steel as you go. So that's what I've done. As you notice, yes, I do grind my welds, but I did want to show you something here. It is a nice tiny weld all the way along. Now, it got a little messy in a spot because I actually burned through. I make mistakes too. I blew a hole through, so I had to fill it in, and that is where grinding the weld comes in handy because it hides those little mistakes that we guys make. But it's a solid weld nonetheless, solid panel, and it is, after all, fixable, thankfully. So yeah, okay, so there's Miss Moose's cab. At least the right side of it. I have to weld the left side panel on. This is for another reason. For when I put the top line roof on, I have to have a hole through here so that I can run my lighting and that sort of thing. So that's where this hole will come in here and get cut out, and that allows me to run wiring and that sort of thing through into the top line. Let's see. Here's the top line here, just to show you. I can't set it directly on because of course it's a plastic part and this is still a little hot, but it will be something like so, yes? So that will be the complete cab. This, of course, the top line has to be its own separate piece on this cab just because of the way everything is all designed on the Mercedes Actros. So I will build it as a separate piece, but it is much more involved than Moose, and that was my whole point in showing this to you. As you notice, I also have her frame done. Pardon my tools in the way, but here is her frame. So it is the same as Moose's frame. Did I call her Moose a minute ago? I might have. If I did, it's my apologies. This is London calling. Of course, it will be the Euro style, so that means right-hand drive. So driver over here, not over here as we do in North America. Driver will be on the right-hand side, not the left. This will be passenger, and yes, you are looking at it properly. So it will be Euro style, meaning right-hand drive, because I want to do a Euro style vehicle. I've never had one, and I think it might be cool to keep things authentic. So London's frame, same as Moose's frame, only 30 inches long, the same 1/2 inch by 1/8 wall square tube steel, in case you did not follow Moose's build. Shame on you, you should. It's a very interesting series and it's going to be a lot of fun. But here is London's frame. Cab, obviously she's a cab forward. The cab won't take up a whole ton of room. And the rest will be wrecker body. And again, like I said, I'm not telling you exactly what I'm doing back here. You're going to have to watch the series and follow along. It's going to be a blast. So anyway, let me get the left side welded up and we'll continue on. Had a little issue with my camera out in the shop again. I forgot to turn it on while I was welding the left side of the cab up. And, well, I figured, hey, y'all have seen a cab welded up anyway, and you're going to get to see more of it here later on in the video. I also made a front bumper for the frame and got it all done. And, well, I kind of forgot to turn the camera on while I was doing that. In fact, I turned the camera on, but I forgot to turn the audio in the shop off. So all you could hear was this racket of me working and my radio blaring in the background while I was working. So here I am welding on the bumper that I made onto the front of London's frame. Anyway, I explain why I am making this bumper the way I am a little later on here in the video. But yeah, so just welding the front bumper onto the frame here, and it's a good strong bumper, let me say that. So kind of jumped ahead, kind of jumping around and that sort of thing. I do clean up the welds here so I can explain a few things to you. It's made out of 1.25" by 1/8 thick flat steel. It was cold rolled. I welded a piece onto the back. The bumper is 7 inches tall, or 7 inches wide at the top, 6 at the bottom with angled ends, and I welded a 3-inch piece on so that I could weld to the frame. And that is also where I am grinding right now, going to be the winch mount, because this truck, of course, will have a front and hopefully a rear winch. We see how much I can save up for, but it will definitely have a very heavy duty front winch mounted where I am grinding right now. So yeah, that's the plan for the front bumper. And this is what she looks like in the end. It's got to get cleaned up a little bit more, but you get the idea here, right? Okay, so there is the off-road bumper. It's not quite complete. Obviously, there's going to be tow hooks, winch mounted on that plate that we just welded on here. That's right down in there. So the winch is going to be mounted, and the cab will kind of sort of be about in that position. So yeah, it's not going to be exactly as you see it here, but y'all get the idea, yeah? So anyway, there's going to be some more stuff going on this bumper. It's also going to get some tow points besides the winch. In case it gets stuck, it can winch itself out and that sort of thing. Obviously, it's an 8x8, so we shouldn't have too many problems with it, but hey, you know, I want it realistic, right? So yeah, I also just noticed while I'm filming, I actually have to fix this angle. It's not exactly the same as this one here. I must have overground when I did the grinding on it, but that's okay. It's an easy fix, yeah? So now the next thing for London will be, of course, her doors. And finishing off the roof, obviously there's a lot of work to be done here. I gotta give this a little bit more of a shaping so that I can put the top line roof on it, which will also be coming next. So that'll be doors, top line roof. The rest of the front grill area will also be coming. A lot of work in front of us on this one. A lot like Moose. Miss Moose has a lot of work to be done on her. We're just in the beginning stages of this build, obviously. And of course, I am saving for the parts that I can't make, which is the drives. I've got a lot of differentials and that sort of thing to save up for, you know. They're not cheap. Just to let you know, kind of sort of ballpark, it's just short of $1,000 just to set up the 8x8 or buy the 8x8 discs. Never mind setting them up, getting them working and all of that. You got to buy the links, you got to buy springs, you got to buy all of that is over and above just the four-wheel drive, or 8x8 in this case, but y'all know what I mean, the off-road discs. Just those alone are $1,000. So on my budget, that takes time, but we've obviously got a lot of building in front of us before we even get there. I do have a set. They're plastic, albeit, but they're good enough that I'll be able to set up where things are going to go along this frame. Yeah, so I will know where each differential is going to go, what we're going to need here for fenders, of course. London will be, like I said, the Euro style. I'm not going to mess around with her doors or any of that kind of shit. She's just going to have regular opening doors. But I've got to cut out the storage boxes, the jock boxes on her. And yeah, in the real world, you know, we used to call them jockey boxes. I don't know what the guys in Europe call them. I don't really care. It's got to be done, and that's all that matters. So there's a lot of work to be done in this cab. I got to cut out the hole so that we can run all of the electrics and so on. And for the top liner, we're going to have the light up name across the front of the cab here, a lot like this one. This one is obviously, it's the plastic one, but it is going to be identical, and across the front here is a light up panel with a name, and of course the name will be YYC Towing or something along that line, Twist Towing, YYC Wrecker Service, something along those lines. But I've also got to make the bottom half of this this front grille, and we are going to put in the neon light Mercedes emblem here. So I've got to leave a lot of room on the cab I'm building, which is this one here, obviously, for all of those electronics. Plus there is going to be excuse me, there are going to be a shitload of electronics in both London Calling and Moose to be able to run all of the actuators and everything else. Now, while I'm at it, I may as well let y'all in on what I'm doing. Now, there will be a box or a bed applied along here. It's a flat bed truck. So this one is going to get a sleeper besides. So there will be a sleeper that will come back to approximately here, which is about 4 inches. The sleeper is where I plan on hiding that shitload of electronics. I'm hoping that the sleeper will basically be a lot like the control board or control panel, control area for the whole truck, for all of her electronics and motherboards and receivers and all of that jazz, because of course the cab is going to be as close to realistic as we can get it, Euro style, right hand drive. Seats, the whole bit, are going in the cab, so we're not going to have room for electronics there. I've got to hide them somewhere. So they're going to go in the sleeper, because this is a flatbed, unlike Miss Moose, who is going to have boxes and all of that for the rotator. This one ain't gonna. She might have a few toolboxes where I can hide some stuff, but the sleeper is where I'm planning on hiding the 99, excuse me, God, I've got the hiccups, is where I'm going to hide 99% of all of her electronics. So she's a flatbed, and if y'all can imagine a crab or a lobster on its back, this will have 4 legs that will be like the crab, and then it's going to open up, and they will drop all the way down to the ground level and become outriggers, so that the wrecker and boom assembly can do the rescue of the broken down truck or dump truck or whatever. So flatbed, boom assembly, and 2 legs on the back, 2 on the front, which will open forward. The ones on the back will open backward, and they will come down, and if you can kind of see my hand, they will come down like that, and then there will be actuators there that press down on the ground and will lift the whole box and everything off the ground if need be, but basically to keep her level, keep her stable. And there will be claw feet on the end of those arms, so they will have to pivot, I'm figuring, almost a full 180 degrees, almost. Okay, so that's going to take electronics. The downrigger is going to take electronics and another actuator. The boom has 2 actuators in it, plus a rotating motor. There's a shitload of stuff, a shitload of planning, and honestly, guys, it can boggle the imagination. But we are going to bring this one in under budget, under what y'all are seeing online. I'm going to be nowhere near as expensive as those who make metal vehicles online and sell them, and albeit mine will look as good, they just ain't going to cost the cost. And yeah, they'll probably come in maybe slightly heavier because of the way I design my frames, but I guarantee you they're going to be a hell of a pile stronger too. Now, that being said, I'm not knocking anybody's product. It is what it is, but they are big manufacturers. We're a 2-person outfit, Tams and I. We do all our own design. We do all our own construction. Right from concept to rolling vehicle, we do it all. So we can do things, I guess, a little cheaper, and we obviously, as you can see by my shop, we don't have the big multi-$1,000 machines that they have to pump these things out 100 at a time. We make them one of, we make them, yeah, well, I'll make anybody who wants one of these, but it's going to be a one-of just because of the nature of the way they're built. I can never, ever duplicate this 100%. So every vehicle is going to be a one-of. It's just the nature of how we do things. It happens, right? That's why we call ourselves Custom RC Designs. Anyway, that's about all I'm going to get on this video. So next video on London Calling, you'll start seeing the top line, some doors, the remainder of the cab, let's say that, and then I'm going to go to work on the flat deck and designing those legs that open up and the boom and all of that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching. This has been Twist with YYC Designz, Custom RC Creations. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.